Wall Street suffered a big loss today with the Dow Jones closing almost 700 points down. Good evening and welcome to NewsCenter at 5:30. I'm Mandy Vandegrift.
And I'm Justin Brown. The New York Stock Exchange opened this morning, the first time since last Tuesday's attack, resulting in a massive sell-off. The Dow Jones fell nearly 685 points, the worst single-day point drop ever. The airline industry, hotels, and leisure-related industries took the biggest hits. The Nasdaq also tumbled almost 116 points, the lowest since October 1998.
President Bush was at the Pentagon today greeting and thanking servicemen and women for their help in the relief efforts. The Secretaries of Defense and Transportation were informed by the president to prepare reserve units of the armed forces and Coast Guards. This comes after Bush told the military there would be no safe haven for Osama bin Laden anywhere in the world.
Who absolutely have made their cause to defeat the freedoms that we understand, and we will not allow them to do so.
Mr. You want bin Laden dead?
I want him held. I want justice. And there's an old poster out west, as I recall, that said "Wanted, dead or alive."
Afghanistan's supreme leader has been warned by Pakistani officials to either turn over suspected terrorist Osama bin Laden or face a U.S. attack.
The U.S. is gearing up for a possible war with Afghanistan. One Russian military official is warning the United States about the lessons he has learned with his country's bitter war with Afghanistan.
CNN Moscow Bureau Chief Jill Dougherty has talked to the official to get a glimpse of the struggle America may be getting into.
Here, more than 20 years ago, in the treacherous mountains of Afghanistan, Leo Karolkov fought a war like no other. His assignment was to train Soviet Special Operations Commandos, similar to America's Delta Force.
Modern weapons, rockets, laser-guided missiles, they're useless against these mountains.
Leo was there when Soviet troops moved into Afghanistan, and he was there when they left, after a decade of fighting and 15,000 dead.
I feel sorry for the people who are going to be thrown into those deserted mountainous regions where the enemy knows every single rock, every cave. No maps, no computer training can prepare you for it.
As for finding Osama bin Laden, Karolkov says there are a million places he could hide, just like the Mujahideen he and his men tried to find during their war. Diversionary tactics, terror, suicide attacks were the way the enemy achieved his aims. Leo says he saw Afghan fighters shot to ribbons, still clutching their weapons and firing until their last breath. Many of them, he says, used drugs before launching operations. But they were, he says, the most effective force he has ever seen, honed on 20 years of continual war. They were also well supplied with Stinger missiles provided by the Soviet Union's Cold War foe, the United States. Russia expected to stay a few months in Afghanistan. It ended up fighting for 10 years. It was a searing lesson, Leo says, that scarred Russia just as Vietnam tore at the soul of America. These fighters can bring any country, he says, even a superpower, be it Russia, the United States, or Europe, to the brink of catastrophe.
Friday, over 1,000 Ball State students and fraternity members gathered in the quad for a memorial service to remember those who lost their lives in last week's tragedy.
NewsCenter photojournalist Doug Moon and Sonny Wingler captured some of the sights and sounds.
I've got like 10 really needs in the picture.
Today we gather here in this beautiful campus place to honor and remember our fellow citizens who were lost this week in a horrible tragedy. We remember and we grieve over the horror we have watched unfold on our television screens and read about every day. We remember and we mourn because of the senseless loss of life in New York City and in our nation's capital.
We must remember those who have lost their lives. We must remember the volunteers who are giving their time to help those that have never been met. We're not alone. We must continue to console each other, talk with each other, and work not as individuals, but as one nation, undivided, to preserve our freedom.
We remember and we pray that this time of national reflection will help all Americans to heal and to unite in common purpose to defend the freedom of opinion, which means so much to our way of life. And finally, we remember the loss of our own innocence as we realize that in many ways unknown to us today, our lives will never be the same again.
Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord lift his countenance upon you and give you peace. And give you peace. And give you peace. And give you peace. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And be gracious. The Lord be gracious, gracious unto you.
Justin, it's nice to see the Ball State community come together and unite, reflect, remember those who lost their life, and just like Tommy Rector said, you know, people that they don't even know.
Yes, it isn't. You know, a lot of these candlelight vigils are happening in the evenings at nearby churches around Muncie. Despite the colder temperatures, a lot of people are showing up. We're going to see now if those colder temperatures in the evening are going to continue, and Shauna Walters joins us.
Yes, we will be able to see that today. Our first forecast shows that it will be mostly cloudy. There is a slight chance of showers, and the lows will be at in the 50s, in the high 50s. The wind will be light. And we'll have more on tonight's forecast and tomorrow's forecast in a little bit.
Okay, great. Thank you, Shauna. Hoosier emergency workers sent to assist rescue efforts at the World Trade Center should be back home in Indiana soon. The Indiana workers started helping the day after the terrorist attacks. Marion County firefighter Stephen Tardif suffered first and second degree burns yesterday while searching through debris at Ground Zero in New York City. A 30-foot high flame engulfed Tardif. Fortunately, a Manhattan hospital released him several hours later upon his arrival. The Indianapolis Fire Department says the 62-person team should be home on Wednesday.
An Indianapolis-based airline plans to lay off 1,600 employees nationwide. American Transair says Tuesday's terrorist attacks are at the root of the problem. The airline is unsure how many Indianapolis workers will be affected. ATA employs 2,400 Indianapolis workers. ATA announced earlier this month they would eliminate some jobs because of the slow economy. They also said its new fleet of aircraft would require fewer cockpit personnel.
And Midway Airlines has suspended all future flight operations. Midway is working with other carriers to reaccommodate passengers and will post details of their agreements on their website as soon as they are available. Full refunds are also available if passengers choose. Approximately 1,700 Midway employees will lose their jobs as a result of this suspension of operations. And coming up after the break, Justin Herbert will be in to let you know when the Ball State football team will be back to normal.
Also, Ball State's enrollment is up again. We'll let you know what effect this is having on students. Stay tuned.
In East Central Indiana, there is only one place to turn for local news.
About 2 million Serbian residents.
Ball State has gained national attention.
NewsCenter 43.
America's
and Rule 7. We're okay on time now, guys.
Clouds begin to form.
Muncie's only live TV newscast.
Reporting live.
Only live.
On Saturday as we go to the
An
highlight.
official CNN Student Bureau. NewsCenter 43, Monday through Thursday at 5:30 and 9:30 on Burrs Channel 43.
Police are looking into whether a body found in Tippecanoe County is that of a missing attorney. Indiana State Police say an area farmer led them to a field that contained human remains. Attorney John Barrs disappeared from a Lafayette Radisson Inn restaurant on August 1st. Police say Barrs' family believes he was kidnapped because they were contacted with a ransom demand. An autopsy will be performed to determine the cause of death and to identify the body. Thousands of Indiana low-income families are questioning the state's ability to oversee child care vouchers. The state expects to eventually handle the program for all of Indiana, but the director of voucher services for LaPorte and St. Joseph counties is concerned the state will fall behind in reimbursing daycare facilities. Indiana spends about $240 million annually on the vouchers. If and when Indiana takes over it, it could potentially save $2 million.
Well, our odds are you've probably noticed a more crowded gym, longer lines in the dining rooms, and student parking lots completely occupied. And there's a good reason for it. Ball State's enrollment has gradually increased the past few years and this year. A record number of freshmen and returning students are living in dorms. As a result, students were assigned to live in study lounges. Some residents complained, but assisted housing residence life officials are just happy everyone has a place to stay.
I think something that has been a bit of a misperception is some students were in floor lounges, but those were actually floor lounges that used to be student rooms, and we had just converted them to lounges because we had the space.
Gonzalez also added a study last year showed students who live in the residence halls generally have higher GPAs than those who don't. Currently, there are no new plans to build a new residence hall. And NewsCenter sports anchor Justin Herbert joins us now to tell us if Ball State football will be back to normal after last week's national tragedy.
That's right, Justin. In addition to the cancellation of last Saturday's football game against Southern Illinois, this Saturday's game versus Western Michigan has been moved to Thanksgiving weekend. As you know, Western Michigan was scheduled to play Michigan last Saturday, but the game was postponed. And the only way the Wolverines could make up the game against Western was to host them this weekend, leaving Ball State without an opponent. Questions of who were available to play were not answered until this morning at 11:15 when Northern Iowa took the bait and will head to Muncie this Saturday. And now NewsCenter reporter Mary Bowen joins us in the Update Center. Mary?
Thanks, Justin. I talked to Ball State students today to get their response to the cancellation.
This weekend.
I think it is fairly uncalled for, and I'm upset as a student. I can't imagine what the team and everyone else who was a lot more connected to the team as a whole.
That was really rude of West Michigan, right? West Michigan to do that to us. I mean, considering that we only had that 2 missing limit and everything, it's just really crappy.
Okay, how do you... As you can tell, the majority of the students are disappointed in Western Michigan's decision, but they are excited for Saturday's game. Now back to you, Justin and Mandy.
All right, thank you very much, Mary Bowen, reporting tonight.
Well, we've been talking about the vigils around the community, and there are a lot more scheduled throughout the week. How's the weather going to be for them?
Well, we'll have more on the weather when we get back in just a minute.
Okay. Thank you.
And today's weather almanac, we have today's highs in the high 70s, 76. We have a normal high of 76. Today's lows are in the low 40s. Our normal low is 54 degrees. Sunrise will be at 6:25 a.m. and sunset at 6:45. And today's highs, as you can see, we have high in South Bend of 70, Fort Wayne at 74 degrees. Lafayette, we have 74 also. In Muncie, Indiana, we have 76 degrees. Indianapolis, we have 75 degrees. As we get lower in the south, we have 79, and we get into the 80s in Evansville. Our current conditions are at 76 degrees. It's partly sunny. Winds are in the west of 6 miles per hour. Humidity is at 38%. And a look at the national satellite. We have winds coming over more and more over to the west. They're coming south also. And look at our national radar. We have rains coming low a little. It's clear in the east and the west. It's mostly in the south and in central nation. And a look at our regional radar. We have rain up in the north, up by Fort Wayne. It's pretty clear in Muncie and in the Indianapolis area. And tonight we have thunderstorms and rain mainly all throughout the U.S. It's coming low. It'll be clear in the west and the east. Tonight's lows go from the 30s to the 70s. In the Indianapolis area, it's in the 50s and the high 60s. And tonight, we have mostly cloudy. We have a chance of showers. The low is in the 59 degrees. We have light winds. And tomorrow morning, it's going to be partly sunny. The temperature is going to be 65 degrees with south winds at 5 miles per hour. And tomorrow, we have thunderstorms again tomorrow. They'll be moving into the south. It's all in the central area. And tomorrow's highs will go from the 50s all the way into the 90s way in the south. Our area looks like there's going to be in the mid-70s and in the high 80s. And tomorrow it's going to be partly sunny, a high of 80 degrees, and we have south winds at 8 miles per hour. And a look at our 3-day outlook. Wednesday, we have high of 71 degrees and a low of 51 degrees. And Thursday through Friday, we have highs in the upper 70s, a lows in the 50s.
Well, it looks like it's going to be dry in the east, which is good for the cleanup of the debris that's going on at the World Trade Center, which is nice to hear.
All right. Thank you, Shauna. And Justin Herbers joins us now for a look at what's coming up in sports. Justin.
Yeah, we're going to have more details on the schedule mix-up, and you'll never believe who the Ball State women are going to be playing in basketball this year. All that and more coming up.
Okay.
With Western Michigan choosing to head to Ann Arbor this weekend instead of hosting the Cardinals, athletic officials were sent scrambling Sunday and Monday to find someone to fill in the gap. Missing another weekend of football was not an option, so the coaches and staff hit the phones and the internet, clicking and double-clicking schedules, looking for an opening from any team. With only 2 dates to work, the search became a much more difficult task. Coach Lynch contacted 15 teams in a struggle to find an opponent until finally they found a winner in northern Iowa. Athletic Director Andrea Seeger says the struggle to find someone to play was difficult, but they had many options while Coach Lynch is glad to be playing on Saturday.
It the correct way with the correct tribute that it would be something that says, yes, we understand the tragedy, but on the right circumstances, we think people do need a little bit of a breather. It doesn't mean that we've forgotten about anything. It just means that President Bush had indicated a return to normalcy, and we were trying to follow that guideline.
Here's how the schedule shapes up. September 22nd against Northern Illinois, September 29th at home against Miami University, October 6th is open, and after that it remains pretty much the same until we get down there to November 24th, and that's when we'll make up the game against Western Michigan. And it's beginning to be a trend in the Ball State men's basketball program. Yet another castaway. The latest to break from the team, Corey Harris. This after the team lost Josh Murray, Cedric Moody, and Roland Marshall last spring. Harris signed his release papers on Friday, making him the 4th player to lead the team in less than a year. NewsCenter caught up with assistant coach Tracy Webster, who says the decision came without notice.
It was like a shock in a way. I mean, we knew that he was going to have to do some work to get in that rotation or whatever, but, I mean, anything is possible. And maybe if he would have stuck it out, man, you just never know.
The basketball team for the women announced their schedule for the 2001-2002 season. Heading up the schedule this year, National Power UConn on November 30th. In addition to the game at Connecticut, they will be playing at the Florida International Classic, and they will travel to Los Angeles, California for the Loyola Marymount Thanksgiving Classic in November and host the Hoosier State Classic in December. The Cards will open their Mid-American Conference play January 2nd at Central Michigan.
Rough start, but things look like they're getting back to normal.
Yep.
Thank you, Justin. Thanks. Well, coming up on NewsCenter at 5:30, we'll let you know what's coming. We'll let you know what's coming up on NewsCenter at 9:30.
And Shauna Walters will have your wake-up weather. Stay tuned.
Well, in the surge of American pride following last week's terrorist attacks, people have come up with many ways to show their spirit.
And as Jim Nash reports, some residents in Los Angeles have gone to the extreme and tattooed themselves with Old Glory.
Look, the Marines have landed.
All right. What do we got here?
We got the American flag here.
Welcome to the 10th annual Ink Slingers Ball in Hollywood, where tattoos have suddenly gone very patriotic.
Old Glory has always been the most popular symbol with American servicemen, especially Marines, but here everybody wants stars and stripes. See what I mean?
I got it yesterday. I'm kind of commemorating the whole thing. And also remembering how important, I just suddenly realized how important it was to be an American.
Yesterday, when everybody was trying to buy flags, I couldn't buy one, so I got one tattooed on.
But this latest rage in the tattoo world's a lot more than just American flags.
Remember, and then the date, 9/11/01, and the flames, you know, to signify the tragedy that occurred in New York at the Trade Center.
I'm a professional pyrotechnician, so to me, nothing says America like a good 4th of July fireworks show.
This is the USS New Jersey. That's my way of symbolizing what it is being American and how proud I am of being American.
What's the message here?
America.
I have 13 stars.
Just like the original flag, right?
Correct.
I don't know, I just think that now's the time for everybody to show they're proud of their country.
But is this the way to show our pride?
You thinking about it?
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't know about that right now.
And yes, I love my country, but no, I didn't get a tattoo.
That was Jim Nash of CNN affiliate KTLA.
I don't know, I have a lot of spirit, but I don't think.
Yeah, that's one way to show support, but.
Yes, definitely. Shauna Walters joins us now for our Wake Up weather.
Yes, well, tomorrow will be partly sunny. The highs will be in the lower 80s, and the wind will be at south 8 miles per hour.
Thank you. And thanks for joining us for NewsCenter at 5:30. I'm Mandy Vandegrift.
And I'm Justin Brown. NewsCenter 43 is an official CNN Student Bureau. Be sure to tune in tonight for NewsCenter at 9:30. Good night.